I have to dance to this.
You know who you love, but you can't know who loves you. You can't use your hand to force the sun to set. You cannot compare the living with the dead. Abisa, Abisa, Africast, Africast,
That's
Africast,
good, bro.
Africast, 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 Abisa, Abisa, Africast, 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 Africast.
Yeah, that's right. We're getting serious right now.
That's right, bro.
Ibiza, Africast, Ibrahim Ibiza, my mother freaking best friend from Nigeria. I love this guy. He's one of the most brilliant Hegelian philosophers I've ever met. I swear to God, you know, for like a wealthy first world white person, which I never feel like checking my privilege unless I talk to Ibiza, but I feel really grateful. You know, I've talked to all kinds of assholes who think that they know about Hegelian philosophy. None of these jerks know as much about Hegelian philosophy as Ibiza. Ibiza's my freaking main man. Are you kidding me? Like, you're killing it. You're one of the best people ever. I love you, bro. I'm glad you're here.
I feel flattered. I appreciate you, Andres. I appreciate so much.
It's funny because
yeah, can hear you. I can hear you.
Well, you were telling me that you were enthusiastic. You were telling me you were enthusiastic to do this show, and I thought that was funny because I'm enthusiastic to do this show. I mean, I am honored to know you. I am grateful to have you in my life. I worry about you. I pray for you. I'm so grateful to know you, dude. You have no idea. You're one of the greatest people that have come into my life. I just want to take a second to thank you for existing and for still being alive. You're still alive, even though the world out there is like dangerous. It's a dangerous world. It's not as fun of a world for everybody. You know, you go through like crazy stuff that you're still alive. I pray and I'm grateful for. It's one of those things. So I'm sorry. I know you're like, okay. We can't just freak out about being alive all day. But you know what? Let me just stare at my hand and just say how grateful I am that I can move my hand and remind myself that
I'm grateful.
You get what I'm saying?
I'm so grateful. I'm pretty grateful. I mean, it's over 5 years now since we've been together, and I think if I am saying that I love you, I'm no longer too fast. You know, as the love professor will say,
correct.
I truly do love you. And sometimes what we need from people is just to say that don't give up, and that will keep them up, and they'll keep going. You know, your words mean so much to me, and I'm very, very grateful that I'm on with you today. Every time I come alive with you like this, I'm very, very happy. I feel very excited. Sometimes I don't even know what to say because I count it a privilege. You know, when I met you, I thought it was just for the moment, but here I am still talking to you. I really, really feel grateful. And I hope that we'll continue to talk like this even with gray hairs, you know, someday.
I
I'm
think
so
we
happy.
will. I pray, and I
I
don't want to be wrong because I know that at any moment, I know that sounds, a lot of these people have more privilege than I, and they could just expect to live
I
until they
believe.
have gray hair. And I don't know. Who knows if we're going to make it to that point. But right now, what I know, I'll tell you this. When I first heard from you on the internet through Advanced Philosophy Memes, our Facebook group, which they just destroyed. So it's another thing to think about that they tried to kill our friendship. They tried to stop it before it happened, but we let it happen anyway. When I met you,
Yes.
I knew immediately, and we didn't do a video right away. I knew immediately that you were going to be somebody that I cared about for the rest of my life because I could just tell. You were somebody, and I don't want to patronize you. I don't want to make you feel like patronized in any way because it's not everybody that you just meet and you know this is somebody that's going to be my friend forever, you know? But you're somebody like that. I want you to know that. And the way you describe love, it's so confusing to anyone without an education. Because the way we've destroyed the idea of love, so that love is just one word instead of, you know, the Greek have 9 words for love. There's at least 3 decent ones for Europeans. But most of the time, when they think of love, they don't understand that there's brotherly love, there's philosophical love, there's spiritual soul connection to a person's purpose. I know that when I met you, your whole purpose was going to affect me. And I was hoping to God that I could do something other than destroy your life. Because that's something I see happening to you. I see the entire world aimed at the destruction of your spirit. And in a funny way, you're a freaking hero because you're actually fighting against the destruction of yours and therefore all of our human spirit. Okay, I know. But let me just like explain to people why I'm saying this because I think a lot of people are like, bro, calm down. All right, here's my buddy. He's from Nigeria. Nigeria is a hard place to live in. And in the last few months, they basically destroyed this man's. I mean, they already last year. You guys have seen. If you haven't seen Africast, please watch. Go back on my channel. Watch like 4. I think we have like 4 episodes, maybe 5, over the last few years, talking to Ibiza. But what you don't necessarily know, if you haven't been paying attention, is how terribly bad it's gotten in Nigeria. And the destruction isn't just abstract. It's not like, oh, there's no food in that other town. No, this is my friend's life being destroyed. This is him watching his town being destroyed. This is a guy who works in a bank, okay? Watching the entire town be burned to the ground. And he had to be brought in to a refugee village. I know, I'm sorry to bring it up because I know you live with this obviously every day. But I don't think these people ever bothered to read the news to know what's going on in the world and how they destroyed your town. They destroyed your town. Not only did they destroy your life, they destroyed the lives of so many people. And I just want to bring it up. I mean, I know it's like annoying to talk about, but you're such a strong guy. You're such a strong man. You are a strong man, and you deserve to be recognized for surviving essentially, a political and religious war that's happening
Well,
in your in a psychological war that's happening in your world.
it's pretty exciting, and I feel emotional that there is someone out there that can hear me. There's someone out there that listens to me, and I feel so emotional about that. I do not take that for granted, Andres. I do not take it at all for granted, and I'm so grateful. You know, like I said earlier, I think we are behind the camera. Sometimes the government controls the media. They control what the outsiders see. They control what the world see. And I do agree that Nigeria in itself, has not been living up to its responsibility, which have earned us a very bad reputation all over the world. But notwithstanding, it's good to see someone who listens to the two sides of the story, because many a time people listen to one side of the story, and we all know the danger of a single story. It's never complete, and it is fallacious, to say the least. And having you as someone who listens to the two sides of the story, who knows that at least actually what the media is actually saying about us most of the time is not true, and what many people are thinking about us is not true. I'd be happy to have someone like you. And again, you remember the last broadcast that we had, and many people try to discourage you to stop talking to me. And I remember some time ago, somebody told you that, oh, Nigeria, you know what? Why should you have something to do with your Nigeria? These are people who you focus on the single story. They do not care about the other side of the story. And I'm pretty happy that you are here with me today. 5 years is not a beans. It's not something that I take for granted, and I appreciate that. And your friendship is what I cherish. Sometimes you may not believe this. You are that one person that whenever I think of, I do not think of giving up. You understand? Your words alone make me keep going. Sometimes what people need is not really money. Sometimes people just need someone to tell them that, oh, don't give up. I love you. And that alone can keep them alive, can keep the hope alive. It's one thing for somebody to be alive and be struggling. It's another thing for someone to be there saying, you can do it. I believe you. You can do it. I believe you. You know, that's a medicine to me. That's the medicine that I need. And you've been doing that for me. And I'm very, very grateful. In fact, before now, I will admit that I never thought that there would be someone there who will also tell me, oh, I love you, I appreciate you, things like that. But today, look at me. I'm talking to the world through your platform. That alone, I appreciate it. Wallah, I appreciate that. You know, so I do not take it for granted. I feel really, really excited. And for the sake of the audience who have not been with us since the beginning of this conversation, right from 2021, 2020 or thereabout, you know, I, I remember Abiza. Abiza is my name. And when I met you in 2020, I was a school teacher in the primary school. And after some time, I had opportunity to be working in a bank. You understand? Having worked in a bank, it has not been easy because of so many attacks. Just last month, you can check it out on the news. A new terror group has risen, the Lakurawa terror group, aside the normal Boko Haram and other terror group banditry that we've been having. We have a new terror group in town. And unfortunately for me, this terror group has its headquarters in Kebbi State, Nigeria, a state where I live. You can remember a few months ago, 2 months or so, I told you about a terror attack in my town where so many things were destroyed. And I've been rendered jobless and homeless. Even taking up the banking job in the first place was something that I had to do because I had no choice. Because when I
Let me
was a teacher,
say, let me say really quickly for people that don't understand this, you might have watched a movie about World War II. You might have in your life seen refugee camps. You might have seen like in Hollywood this idea, but you never lived through it. You never lived through what this man has lived through. You've never seen it on WhatsApp. You've never seen him when he gets a chance to send a photo to me, which is like, you don't understand what it's like to have scarcity of resources and then to use that energy, literal energy, to send information out to somebody just so that they could, not because he's thinking that I can actually do much about it, but just to prove that it's not insanity, what he's experiencing, but it's reality. And I want to say also really quickly before you continue, Ibiza, that as much as you wouldn't believe as much as I wouldn't believe necessarily that I couldn't understand, I can't understand what it's like for you, and I can't always be sure that I'm helpful to you. You should know. You should know that you inspire me to keep living. I know I don't have the same problems that you do, but that's part of why also I know that if you can, with this world, make choices, good choices that are actually making the world a better place and keeping you alive in them, that, you know what, I can probably survive. There's some things where I'm thinking to myself, oh, the world's gone to hell in a handbasket. But I know better, mainly through you. Sometimes you give me perspective I need to have. But yeah, I wish people understood what's going on in Nigeria right now. It's freaking crazy. It's really crazy. It's not just terrorists. It's not just Christians and Muslims fighting about religion. It's also Google. It's also YouTube. It's also any Western power that's suppressing both information reaching Nigeria, but also resources. I mean, I'm actually kind of upset when I think about it. I'm way more than kind of upset. when I realized that for the last 5 years, anytime we've tried to work together to come up with a solution, there's been an Atlanticist power that's suppressed any sort of development or evolution of Nigeria. There's effort going into suppressing the progress of Nigerian people. There's actual effort being put in by banking powers and corporations that don't want Nigerians to succeed. And the only people that you're hearing about, therefore, are groups of terrorists, straight up, whatever you define non state violent actors, like the Lakuruwawa group. I mean, I remember when I first was talking to you about jailbreaks, where they pulled the walls off of jails and released the terrorists back into the streets. And this is just what you have to live with every day. And everyone just acts like it's chill. It's totally cool. You can handle it. What's going on?
Yeah, Andres, is quite unfortunate that the Nigerian state is like a state of nature, the Hobbesian state of nature, where it's all about the survivor of the fittest. Life here is quite uncertain and very short and brief at the same time. I mean, like I was saying, the Lakurawa group is a new terror group that have emerged in Nigeria, and unfortunately, this terror group have their headquarters in my state. And you remember a few months ago, I told you about a terror attack in my community, and unfortunately, this have led to so many things that have rendered me jobless and somehow devastated right now. But notwithstanding, I really feel that the world doesn't really know much about what is going on in Nigeria because I feel we are behind the camera. I really feel that we are behind the camera because so many people do not know what is going on in Nigeria, and people have only heard the one side of the story. They do not know that at least right now I have somebody to talk to. There are millions of Nigerians who do not have somebody to even listen to them, and that is why I keep appreciating the Andrews platform for giving me the opportunity to voice out my feelings, my opinion, and to let the world know what is going on in Nigeria. You know, the government that came to power barely 1 year, it have made so many harsh economic decisions that have made inflation to rise beyond what we can imagine. And this have led so many people, in abject poverty, people dying of starvation, many people committing suicide because of so many things. So it's quite unfortunate that this is happening. Nigeria is supposed to be the a role model to other African nations owing to their natural resources. But here we are struggling to even survive. And I take that as a very devastating situation. But notwithstanding, having you here with me alone and having somebody to listen to me is something that I take very, very seriously. And I cannot even imagine that I'm talking and people all over the world from different part of the country, I mean, from different part of the world are listening to me. I appreciate that very well. Just the last protest that was held in Nigeria, the hunger protest that was held in around August, a lot of children were arrested because children were part of that protest. Teenagers were arrested. They were detained by the government. Hundreds of children. So many of them were starving in the prison custody. Many arrested, and a lot of people like me who are objective about the situation, who are communicating. Few people are educated in my community. People like me, we are into hiding. The government doesn't want to have anything to do with us because they think we are the one exposing them for the world to know exactly what's going on in Nigeria. There are people who are suffering who think that this is normal for them. There are people who are suffering. They think that that is the way God wants it to be. But I remember in 2020, I was just looking for a voice. I was just looking for somebody who listened to me. I was in in my class one day I was holding my phone. I say I want to search out a group where I can, talk to people, where people who have like minds, philosophy group, because I'm a graduate of philosophy. So that was how I stumbled on APM, Advanced Philosophy Memes. At that time I was kind of skeptical. What do you mean by advanced philosophy meme? But when I began to, interact with you, it was not just anymore about philosophy memes. It was about, we having conversation, sharing informations and letting the world know what is actually happening in Nigeria. And since that time, Andres, I would say that you are among the foremost people that are keeping me alive until this very moment. You are among those people keeping me alive because if not for you saying that you hold on, bro, you can do it, don't give up, I don't know where I would have been today. And I feel very, very happy to be on this platform with you. And
It's
just right
crazy
now,
to look at. Oh, sorry. Continue. I have bad.
yes, yes. So like right now, as I speak with you, a lot of people are being arrested for being too critical about the government. If you go to the Amazon, you have a book known as the Nigeria Criminal Justice System by Farotimi, Dele Farotimi, the Nigeria Criminal Justice System. It's on Amazon right now. It's one of the bestseller on Amazon right now. The Nigeria Criminal Justice System. The person, the author of the book, recently is being arrested for being too critical of one of the, people who are masterminding the evil government in Nigeria. So many people are into hiding. And if you look at the history of Nigeria very well, right from the beginning, since we gained independence in the year 1960, 1st of October, things have been falling apart because of crises, religious crisis, ethnic crisis, and all kinds of crises as you have it. And we have secessionist group, the Biafra, you know, who have gradually transformed themselves into a terror group. Their leader, Simon Ekpa, was recently arrested in Finland by the Finnish government. He was arrested for perpetrating terror and attack, against Nigeria. And so many other groups, to mention just a few. We have the militant. So all of these groups struggling to get control of the government. So we, the few people who are in the villages, educated in the villages, we are somehow isolated because these days in Nigeria it is all about how much violence you can perpetrate. You have a gun, you have a bomb, then the government will listen to you, they will respect you. But if you are somebody who is intellectualistic, who they know that you can expose them to what is happening, you can expose the government to the world, telling the world like what I'm doing right now. I'm telling you what's going on in Nigeria. They wouldn't like you. They will activate you. Many of my colleagues, they have been lost. Sometimes they are being kidnapped and you can't even find them. So right now I'm in a village and I'm living my life. I'm just managing, especially after the destruction of the village by the terror attack. It has not been very easy, but because I studied philosophy, I have hope, and I've been trying to, you know, get myself encouraged. I encourage myself because I know that it has always been the survival of the fittest. And again, like I always say, I am not among those who will always try to blame the West, whatever, or whosoever, because of what is happening in Nigeria. I do not believe that the West are the ones who are after what is, who are masterminding what is happening in Nigeria. It has always been the survival of the fittest, and it will always be. I just think that we are just so fortunate because we have a very responsible government. Nigeria is a very rich state. We have gold and we
Right.
have a lot of mineral resources, but we are not able to harness all these mineral resources for our benefit. All we do is we struggle for power. We just want to gain control in the name of religion, in the name of culture, in the name of so many things. So because of this, we are behind the world, and a lot of things are happening. When you check what has happened in Nigeria, even in the last 2 decades or so, you see a lot of people who are migrating from Nigeria. They are migrating. In fact, people migrate through the Mediterranean Sea. They risk their life. They cannot book flights because they cannot go by air. They migrate, and some of them, their life are lost at the end of the day. Some people migrate through the Trans-Sahara, through Libya. They migrate to Europe, and all kinds of things are happening. So Nigeria is so unbearable. It's only people like you that keep some of us going, because so many people who are in my shoes, they are dead. They did not have this hope. Because me seeing you alone, you are a sign of hope to me. Like I said earlier, there are people whom all they need is just for someone to say, "Don't give up," and that will make them to be revived. They just want someone to say, "Don't give up," and that is the kind of person you have been to me. And that is why sometimes you see me always telling you, "Don't forget me, don't forget me." It's not because I need something from you, or just like, yes, I do need help, but you talking to me alone is a sign of hope. It is something that I appreciate. But so many people
Well,
too
I
who
appreciate how you will. I appreciate how you'll say that, it's not other people's fault, and that you'll try your best to say it's Nigeria's responsibility. But when you look, I mean, I love the idea of an anarchistic world where everyone is a sovereign and have their own freedom.
yeah,
Unfortunately, when you look at the world, there's still Britain. I hate to be like that, but there's still this elitist British power. There's still Tony Blair's Institute for Global Change. There's still Beyond Petroleum, British Petroleum. There's still Shell, Dutch Royal Shell Company. And when you look at the bribery, when you look at what's going on with Britain in terms of where are this little tiny nation, England, this little island, getting all of its money from, And you look at Africa. I hate to do it, but you look at where in the world are the poorest people? Now, another question. Where in the world are the most resources, the most essential resources for technology, for energy, for futurism? Let's be honest, they're in Africa. How specific do you want to get about Nigeria? And so, of course, yeah, you know what? We should say it's Nigerians' fault for taking bribes, but who are they taking the bribes from? And how hard is it to really just admit that we are responsible on some level? I'm not British, thank God. But you know what? There's definitely some issues there that we have to look at. And yeah, we talked a bit about Tony Blair. We could also talk about the administration from 2015, massive corruption scandals, mismanaged of oil revenues, and subsidiary scandals. There's a lot of evidence here. It's not just some sort of an accident that we're bringing up Atlanticist progressivist powers exploiting Nigeria unto the point of putting corrupt officials in charge and destroying the progress. Because remember, Abiza is a university graduated philosophy student, with an understanding and a command of Hegelian dialectic. Why aren't you in charge? Well, probably because you weren't easy enough to bribe. You cared too much about the country. You cared too much about your people. And so this is something that definitely plays into it. That honorable, decent people are pushed far away from any sort of administrative position, and that the government itself is run by cronies who work for Western oil powers, energy powers, elite military powers. But it's hard not to say that. I mean, I want to say it for you because I know you wouldn't. I know that you're never going to blame anyone else, and you're constantly going to take the responsibility and be willing to pay the debt. But how crazy is a debt that's designed to entrap Nigerians for 5, 10, 100 infinite generations, right? This is the idea, to turn Nigeria into a slave state. It looks like that. It looks like that from the West, that they want to corrupt your state until they turn it into a slave state, just like home, just like England, just like America, turn you into exactly what we are. And that scares me because I know that you're better than that. You're better than to let anyone else control your destiny. You are a free man, if I've ever met one, who makes his own decisions.
Well, Andres, a lot of things, have been going through my mind because sometimes I wonder for how long are we going to continue like this. When I was young, I was very enthusiastic about God and religion until when I became older, when I began to see the injustice and the inequality that is going on in the world. But, but notwithstanding, I do know for sure that many governments of the West, they are somehow responsible for, to an extent, what is going on in Nigeria. They are, responsible. But again, we cannot continue to blame other people for poor governance because why are other nations not being manipulated to impoverish and kill their people like this? There must be something wrong somewhere, you know. And the only way we can begin to tackle this situation is by, first of all, taking responsibility for what is going on in Nigeria. You know, I respect Donald Trump. With due respect to some of you that did not vote for him, I respect Donald Trump for one thing because hate him all you like, but the guy is seriously, interested in protecting the American civilization. But when you come to Nigeria, the leaders are visionless. They are totally visionless. And in as much as I do believe that most of these leaders are puppets to the Western, powers, but then again, they are humans. Where is their brain? Cannot they reason for themselves? That got me thinking because when a brother kills his brother in Africa, he blamed the West, which is not supposed to be. You know, why can't why is it that we don't have the power to say no? Why can't we have the power to say no? And that is where philosophy comes in. That is where education comes in. So many people are being miseducated and they are very, 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 shy away from that responsibility because of the miseducation. Many people like us, people who are like-minded like me, who are supposed to be in school, studying and teaching people and all that. We don't have that opportunity because we are different. When you're a minority in Nigeria, you are isolated. You are expected to think and reason like everybody. You understand? And that is why sometimes when I go into my room, I shed tears. I cry because when I meet some people from other countries and they look at me, no matter what, even if I've not done anything wrong to them, just because I'm from Nigeria, they criticize me and they hold me responsible for the sin and the problem that some of my people at home are doing. I feel very, very bad about it. Like the issue of the Nigeria prince that is going on. People tell you Nigeria they scam this, they scam that, and all that. Things like that. When people go for that kind of evil, I feel really bad. I, having been educated, many people who are educated like me, who the government are not helping, who are not able to live in an environment where their dreams are supported. Sometimes they resort to internet scam and all that. But here I am, I'm still struggling to survive. You know. But people do not believe that no matter how bad the society is, there must be remnants. There must be some few people, who will say no to evil, who are determined to combat evil rather than joining evil. Sometimes they say if you cannot beat them, join them. But there are people who are very stubborn that will not join, evil. And again, I keep telling people, for you to be scam, you have to be greedy. And there are two parties, there are two people that need to be present for scam to take place: a greedy person and a greedy person. A greedy person and rather an evil person, because Since I've met you, I've never told you that there is good.
He's. I'm not sure if I'm missing or if he's missing. That's the problem with this internet. I feel like we both have equivalent internet right now. So if anyone can hear me, let's
Sorry,
wait a second
my,
for Ibiza.
my network is interrupted.
Your network, it was yours?
My net,
Thank God. I was worried it was my internet. I was like, God, the German internet's not very, you'd be surprised. African internet seems better than German internet right now. This must be China. Thank God for bricks. Okay. Try to say what you were going to say.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah,
I don't know
absolutely.
why my camera is not stable. I don't know what's happening. I can't see myself.
Someone
But
told
can
you
you?
to go to the local someone told you to go to the local supermarket where you can just pick up free internet kind of as a joke, you know? Like, oh, yeah, you'll have to reset. Yeah, guys, I mean, thank you Mythoclass for making that joke because this is the kind of thing. I'm better off when I get upset contacting Ibiza than almost any other person. Because I hate to say it like that, but just remembering that I'm alive and that I can get food is a pretty big deal. Okay, Here's my bro. How's it going? Try to repeat what you were gonna say. You were sounding pretty good at the last second there. I love where you're going
Yes.
on responsibility because you know what? I said it earlier. I'm sorry, the only you one can only control what they're responsible over. So if you're
Yeah.
responsible over yourself, then one can control their self. I think that's
Of course.
exactly true.
I mean, if there is an oppressor somewhere, it is useless for the oppressed to be thinking that one day the only way that his situation can be solved is that the oppressor should, stop oppressing him. You know, but rather I believe that the oppressed should take responsibility and free himself, because there is no one anywhere that is coming to free him, because he's the one feeling the pain. If I am the one feeling the pain, I should be responsible and be determined enough to solve the problem. But if I keep blaming you or blaming someone else for my downfall, for my misfortune, I can pretty tell you that that problem is not going to be solved. It's not going to be solved at all, because once you take responsibility, be open to finding solution to that kind of problem. But if you blame someone else for the problem, or for what you are facing, it will be difficult for you to find solution to such a problem. Yes. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. I think that
Yeah.
was my
Yes. I think we are good now.
yeah. Continue. Sorry.
So, like I was saying, it is very, very good to take responsibility rather than pointing fingers and all that. You know, Imagine a country like Nigeria having over six terror group, secessionists, militant, different terror group, combating left, right, and center. There is little that people like us can do, unless the world, help us. I will not shy away from help if I find help, you know, because In as much as I want to be free from this trauma, I want to be free from this kind of problem. I imagine millions of Nigeria who are here who have no one to take care of them. But I do believe that maybe somehow, someday, if I'm given the opportunity to leave Nigeria, I will return back to my village to, make a lot of things to be straight. You understand? I have the dream to become a professor, an author. I
So
want to
you
be able
don't
to
want
write.
to if someone gave you a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's castle and you could just eat chocolate for the rest of your life, you would say no. You might visit, but as long as you could return home because you want to
Yes,
make sure that your home is restored. You want to heal your home.
of course. I love my people. I love my mother. I love my brothers. And if I am free, if I am free from from hunger, I'm free from things that other people are deprived of. If I am not feeling anything, then I'm not a human being. I'm trained to be a man of the society. And I'm an African, and the story of Ubuntu. You understand? There is no way, no matter how far I go, I can't forget my mother. I cannot forget my brothers. So even if I leave Nigeria, I will still really want to come back to do the best I can for my people. And that is what I want. And I'm seeking opportunity to leave Nigeria because I'm not safe here. I'm not safe. The next minute, many of my compatriots are dead. That I'm alive today, it is something that I cannot explain. So I just
Literally a
like.
miracle. It's a miracle that you're alive.
So I'm, for me to be alive alone, I think there is something for me. There is some. I heard it
There's a
somewhere.
responsibility and an obligation. See, this is such an important thing. You just assume this as logical. So yeah, praise God, as not joking me said. This is crazy. Most people wouldn't walk. I don't know about most people or not. I don't even know what a person is anymore. When I talk to you, this is humanity. Please be like this man. Please consider that if you have a gift, if you realize the miracle that your breath continues to be put into the dirt that is your body, that you have some obligations towards your fellow man. My God.
You know, Andres, the last time I was given a gift through your platform, I had a 100 bucks through your help that time. And lest I forget, I do not forget any little gift somebody gives to me. I want to appreciate everyone. I don't know if they are following us right now, but I really do appreciate them, and that went a long way at that time, and I'm really, really grateful. When you
Yeah,
when
if
you
you ever
talk.
thought $100 was worth something, you should send it to a Nigerian man. Oh my God. If you guys care at all about what we're talking about, please send like 20 bucks or $100. Cause like some of you, $100 is 20 bucks. I know who you are. Send it to our friend. We have a crypto wallet because we tried PayPal, we tried Google Pay, we tried all of the services, but there's admittedly an effort to keep that from working in Nigeria. So we've set up, yeah, Nacho King's like down, okay? So yeah, we're gonna show you the wallet in the video link. I'm gonna post it right now, and I'll put it in the description so that you're able to actually, if you use Coinbase or you use any of those crypto wallet systems, you can literally make this man's and a lot of people around him's month or more than that very quickly. You could actually keep this guy alive. And you know what? It makes you feel good. Trust me on that one. I don't want to push too hard.
When you try to solve problem that you did not create, that makes you a very great human being. You have a great soul. And let me tell you, the last time you sent me 100 bucks, it went a long way. It took me 2 weeks. I was feeding with 100 bucks for 2 weeks. I could buy my data. I could do many things with it. So it went a long way, and it was like, in fact, I did not expect it. Something that I did not expect. Just sometimes I work a whole month, I can't even get 100 bucks. So me having that at that particular time, it was like heaven for me. So that's by the wayside. Anyway,
I'm gonna
my
put
my
the link. Let me just say, I put the links into the chat right here in case anyone's got some ETH or some bit that they want. I mean, Bitcoin's at an all-time high, so you know what? If you do, I'm just saying, I'm gonna push it a little harder. But yeah, keep this man alive. I really like him. Continue speaking. Sorry.
yeah, thank you very much. I Like I said, anytime I speak with you, I feel alive. My hope is reignited, and it's helping me. It's helping me, to hold on and not give up. Not any time soon. I'm not giving up because when I see people like you, I'm really, really super excited that yes, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. You understand? So I'm very, very, very happy. But right now, there is another big issue in Nigeria: the inflation, the tax reform, and so many things. Are going on, and there is a debate in the National Assembly on whether or not these issues are to be taken, into consideration. The president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is making so many serious decisions that continue to impoverish the people. He has removed the fuel subsidy, and the inflation rate of Nigeria has hit a level that we have never experienced since I was born within the space of 1 year. You remember last year I went for a banking exam. You remember that? When you send me 100 bucks, the transportation to travel from where I am to that place right now, it has doubled 2 times. Understand? So that is how high the inflation rate of Nigeria has become. But
Also,
notwithstanding,
just crazy to think about is the oil comes from Nigeria. So he's paying for not only the oil to get his gas so he can get to the town so he can take his university test, but he's also paying for life protection on that trip because let's be honest, they see a van going by and they think they can get some money out of it. This is not that different than the Dark Ages in America or in Tartaria or in Europe. You have highway robbers. You have Valayan robber barons. You have people that are literally taking money and taking lives and raping and murdering people. By the way, if that wasn't clear, when they drive, just driving, trying to get from one village to a city or something like that. And we got him there. Like, don't get me wrong, we got a visa to the city. And then he
yes,
nearly died because of the malaria, because there were mosquitoes the size of golf balls that were attacking this guy. It's crazy when you like look into how violent nature is, but yeah, survival of the fittest. That was a good expression you used.
you know, is quite unfortunate. There is a little I can say. I mean, I'm quite overwhelmed, very overwhelmed.
What a
But
gentleman.
yeah, I'm really, really overwhelmed. But I just believe that everything will be fine. I keep studying my philosophy. My philosophy keeps me going. It keeps me going. So, and you too, you keep me going. So I'm holding on. I'm really holding on. So making sure that I see the end of it all. You understand? So I'm really grateful. Thank you so much.
Well, I know that you're going through crazy, I was going to say crazy stuff, let's say that. And you're up to your knees in crazy stuff. We talked a minute about Deli Faratimi, one of the most
Yes.
interesting characters out of Nigeria besides you, actually. I like this guy. It's too bad that before we could talk
Yeah.
to him, they threw him into jail for
He's in jail.
criticizing the corruption. Do you want
Yeah.
to maybe, I don't know, how safe is it even for you to talk about this? But if you wanted to, you could talk a bit about current events. If you wanted to
You
bring up
know,
what's going on here. Hey, boom, $30 coming to you. Come to America, he says. You don't want to come to
um,
America. It's actually more dangerous here
I
than it
really
is in
like to
Nigeria.
come. I'll be overexcited. Andres, if I see you one day, I'm going to hold you and I will not let you go. because
Bro, we're
I
gonna hang out. There's no question. We're definitely gonna friggin' embrace. It might be in Germany, it might be in Denmark, it might be in France, who knows? But it could easily be in America. It really depends on if America cleans up its acts. That's basically if America ends up being safer than Nigeria, we'll talk, you know.
because even if you allow me to come to America, will Trump allow me to come? It's another it's another different
Oh
thing
my God,
entirely.
Trump would love you. Are you kidding me? Trump gets a bad rap, but I'm pretty sure he would love you like instantly. He's the kind of guy who would instantly. I hope to God I'm not wrong about that. I feel like he would really. We would. America is all about a mixing pot. I feel like you would do really. Hey, there you go. Here's another 20 from Ibiza. 20 has helped me out many times. I hope it goes far for you. Jesus be with you. Thank you.
It's gonna Thank you so much, and I really really do appreciate you guys for you know helping me. I mean, I'm so excited. I swear I'm so excited.
He's being really chill about it, but you just fed him for like multiple weeks. Yeah, it's a big deal. He's a pretty commonly genteel character. He's trying to subdue himself, but it's a pretty big
Thank,
deal.
thank you
All
so much.
right. Without interrupting you so hard, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Like I'm just
yeah.
ruining your grift, but I
I
want people to know, like honestly, you're gonna survive because of that. It's a bigger deal for you than it is for almost anyone I've ever. It is no, yeah, it is. It's a bigger deal for you to have a dollar than anyone I've ever met. It really
it,
is. That's something that really matters,
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
dude.
Since the inception of Nigeria, Nigeria has been a country that do not tolerate anything that has to do with criticism. You understand? Nigeria do not does not tolerate criticism. Dele Farotimi has been an outspoken and understanding human rights lawyer. He is a lawyer and he speaks against corruption. He stands up for himself no matter the threat against him. But unfortunately, just a few days ago, he was arrested for being too critical about the government, of the country. Now, this is just one case out of the many cases of people who have gone missing. Like this, we are at least we can say that he was arrested and the government have admitted that he has been arrested and thrown into the prison. But what about hundreds of many citizens of Nigeria who have been thrown into prison, without any fair hearing? Some of them, they have even gone missing. Their family cannot even locate them. You cannot even say this just for criticizing Nigeria. This is quite unfortunate, and this is the problem that many of our few people like us are facing in Nigeria. And this is why
Right.
your platform is very important to me. This is why it is very important. And even when I leave Nigeria, I'm really planning of also having, an advanced platform like this where you and I we can collaborate and work together to expose so many of these things. And it will go a long way to actually make people to understand exactly what is happening in Nigeria. It's one thing to have a problem, but it's another for someone to listen or for people to know what kind of problem you actually have. So it is very, very serious. It's a serious case. They control the media, they control the army, they control the police, they control everything. Like right now, I'm speaking in my room. If I have people who are close to me, I wouldn't even allow them to hear me because they might take my information and at the end of the day use it against me. Maybe I might even get killed. You will not be there. You will think maybe I'm still alive or somewhere. So sometimes that is why I stay in my room to make some of these videos because Nigeria is in a state of nature. The whole Bayesian state of nature is so poor in terms of its laws, and it does not care about the human life. Right now, as I speak with you, over 10,000 human beings have died in the Boko Haram custody. The terrorists have killed over 10,000 in their custody. That is different from the bombing and the shooting that are going on in different villages and cities. I'm talking about people who have died in their custody alone. They are over 10,000. The media does not tell you this. So this is exactly the problem we are facing in Nigeria. So many people are facing trauma. Sometimes if I'm talking to you, I'm even forgetting what I want to say. I have so much to say, but sometimes I forget. because of so many things. So it's very, very, very unfortunate. That is why I'm pleading, for me to be rescued out of Nigeria, because right now, if anyone is aiding me out of Nigeria, it will be like it's a rescue mission. You are embarking in a noble exercise, and it will be very much appreciated, and it will be on record that you rescued the Nigerian person from here, because I mean, again, Andres, I do not know what is going on. Sometimes I think, why is it that there is so much inequality and injustice in the world? I feel bad about that. When I was young, I used to go to church, you know, I used to follow my mother. But imagine why this kind of problem? Why is it that some people have enough to eat and throw away, and there are others who don't even have a square meal in a day? Like, what is the problem? Is it the skin color that is the problem? Why is Africa? Why is it like this? Why? So it's very unfortunate. I feel bad about it. I feel really bad. I feel really, really bad. And
It's not because of skin color. If there's anything I've learned, and I'm sorry, 'cause, like, I know it should drive you to madness and sorrow, and you should feel you have the honorable privilege to feel sentimental. I know that numbing is an efficient way. The more numb you are, the more sociopathic you are, the less you feel, the easier it might be to get through a day. But that's not the job of a philosopher king like yourself. You're a philosopher king, by the way. And the way that you're able to actually understand humanity, it defeats me. It defeats my own intelligence and my own wisdom, because I will spend the time blaming people. I'll be like, look at this led to that. This led to that person being forced to make a bad decision. But there's something about you and your education and philosophy that is so liberating. And the way it's liberating is through taking control. Your whole goal, your whole strategy, your whole philosophy is about taking control, taking self control, being in control of your own destiny. And I think that's something that everyone needs. If I look at you and I look at the people around you, this is something that is a poverty in the West. The West might have chemically laden bread, that they can live off of, but how much self-control? How much self-control do we have? I don't think we have nearly as much as we'd like to pretend. We're constantly led by our choices and blaming others for the choices we make. And you're trying to actually choose what you do with your day. Even when people take away your choices, you're trying to choose what you can do with your life. So it's something that I wish that other people could learn from you. And I think that there's proof there, there's evidence there that you could lead, that Nigeria could lead itself into a self-determined realization of future. Regardless of all of these people that are trying to manipulate, all of these elites and the corporations and world powers that are trying to manipulate you into saying this is the easier choice, just give up choice. Who needs choice? But destiny is something that's on your there's destiny on your side in a lot of ways. There's brightness in you. There's brightness, bright, blindingly bright. There's intense future for you. And it's something that can't be taken away. Not even by murder and death and all of the things that they try to threaten you with. Poverty, hunger, suffering, fear, the things that they try to manipulate you. Those things don't seem to be working. Even on the most extreme, maximized levels, you're still in control of your own destiny. And I wish to God that people could learn that from you. That's something that I've really tried to learn from you.
I'm really, really happy that I studied philosophy, because if I haven't studied philosophy, which sometime when I read, when I think about a lot of things, I feel calm. I feel some calmness in me. I try to take things easy. Because I'm sorry. I sometimes I get emotional too because I'm a human being. But then I'm really,
I
really holding
appreciate that
on,
you're a human being.
and I'm very, very determined to survive. I'm very determined. I'm just, I believe what I need is an opportunity to develop myself and be able to stand up for myself as a man. I'm over 30 years. This year, the year that's coming, I will be 30. And when I look at what my mother passed through to see me through school, and right now she's not doing well, and I'm supposed to be there for her, but I'm not there for her. I feel bad. So if I have opportunity to leave Nigeria and go to a better society like America, I will be having so many responsibility, and I will have to do a lot for my people, and that is the opportunity that I seek. I seek such opportunity, and I believe that it is very, very possible. So I cannot afford to give up. I cannot afford to relax because I can see that even with your platform, I can get that opportunity, to leave Nigeria and and become a better person, to my people too.
Somebody brought up earlier, they said, is Ibiza reflective of the average African? And I wonder how you feel about that, both how you are and how you are not. So, on one hand, please explain to us how you think Africans are like you, ideologically and
Many,
philosophically and shared.
like I do believe in relativism. So many things are relative. You know, the way we take reality right here, the way we reason right here, reason is universal anyway, but our experience shape our, reality and so many things like that. So I do not know what he's talking about, but I do believe that there are many people in Nigeria who do not even know what it means to be a philosopher or what it means to study philosophy. Because when you, like I said earlier in our last show, when you are after what to eat and drink, then you
Yeah.
wouldn't pay attention to many intellectual things. You understand? So these are little things that are basic that we cannot even afford. Somebody have not eaten a square meal, in a day, and you'll be thinking of philosophy. So not many people. That was the reason I was telling you that I'm just one of many people in my community. We are not many. We are not many. Sometimes when I am reflecting and I'm trying to take a deeper look at every situation, some people think I'm crazy. Some people think, oh, why can't you just be like every other person? Just go and get food and go and sleep. But sometimes I keep thinking, why? Why is it like this? Why is it not like that? Why are we like this? They like that, you know. And when you begin to ask why, that is what makes you a real philosopher. And these are questions that I ask every day. Why? Why? And in as much as I live, I will continue to reflect on this situation, on this why. I have so many things, that if I have the opportunity to study and go further in my education, I will be a writer. I will write a lot of things, you know. But right now, I just
If
have
you
to
give this
survive.
man ink with a pen and some paper, he would write a lot of things down. Yeah, it's true.
I I
You
didn't
remind
have
me, I don't
I
know if
didn't
it's just my Eastern, I don't know if it's just my Eastern
have
European black
I,
background, but yeah, you remind me of some of the coolest people that survived the gulags. I'll say it like that. There's
I
something
I
about
did not
taking
have
away everything and then
I didn't have a very good solid education background, but I'm an enthusiast. I'm very enthusiastic about education and intellectual stuff. Even if I have a very poor, foundation in education, I believe that when I have the opportunity, I will do a lot of things. I will really dedicate my life to making sure that many things are being resolved. Not just about Nigeria, but in the world entirely. There are so many things, so many things are not right. Although there are so many philosophers that have done a lot, but they have done their piece, and there is so many things that are yet to be done. So I am very, very hopeful that one day I will have the opportunity, I will have the platform, I will have the audience of the whole world, you know, to talk about what has really happened and, have a deeper reflection about what is going on in Nigeria.
Not sure brings up this idea that this man Abiza, you could probably rewrite the book on efficiency, and I think that's true too. That you've done a lot with a lot less, with little. But that brings us, and you kind of started to answer this already when you were telling us about how you were united with the ideology of Africans, but also explain a little bit more about how education might set you apart because so many Africans have been they've been forbidden. They've been forbidden from their their heritage education, and kill their parents, kill their fathers. Don't let them know. Burn the books. Don't let them know about Africa, and then simultaneously have no idea about Hegel. I mean, you know more about Hegel than we have an advanced philosophy memes group, and you know more about Hegel than a lot of those guys, right? About a lot of these PhD European Portuguese students that we know. I think you're pretty much an expert in Hegel. So, in a lot of ways, you're already differentiated from the average African. How do you see yourself as differentiated from the average African?
You know, Andres, as Kamas rightly said, that our economic consciousness determines our social consciousness to a very great extent. You know, the kind of people you associate with, the kind of judgment that you receive from people, it will be determined by the kind of education and the kind of economic power that you have. In my community, as for example, you know, I rarely see people who study philosophy. So someone like me, I'm very, very, very isolated. Sometimes when I'm talking, sometimes when I'm thinking, or when I'm having a conversation with my colleagues, they think nobody's interested. Actually, nobody's interested, and that is the more reason why I'm suffering. Because there is nobody to listen to me.
Wow.
Nobody's interested in having a conversation with me because sometimes they think you are crazy. Bro, you go and get a food to eat. You are here thinking you go and get work to do, and here you are, thinking. And isolation is one of the deepest suffering, that any human being can experience. You understand? Even if you have everything you need, if you are isolated, socially, you are in a very deep suffering. And that is why I take people like you very seriously. Because when I say I'm isolated, I'm really, really isolated. Not even in the in this, in fact, at the family level, I'm also very isolated. For over 10 years now, I've not seen my family. And even when I go there, the way they do things, people are very, very fanatical about religion. People do things irrationally. They don't want to think. They don't want to reflect. When you reflect, they think you are crazy. They think you are the one who is wrong. And if the majority think they are wrong and you are the only person who's saying, come on, let us reason, let us think about this, they will think you don't know what you are doing. They will even think you are stupid. So the isolation is very huge and it is very deep you know. So it's something that is very, very perplexing. It's not easy. It's really not easy. If you have not experienced isolation, you will not even what I'm talking about. You will not even know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you even want to go crazy. You want to go mad. Sometimes I start talking to myself. Like right now, from the very beginning, when we started having a conversation, my conversation was not good the way it is right now because for for a long time, for many years, I've not been talking. I've not been talking to anybody, you know. So when I met with you, when we started having a conversation, that was affecting me. It was affecting the way I communicate. That is because it was not a regular exercise. You don't. If you are used to exercising your thought through your words every day, you master a lot of things. But what if nobody is interested in what topic you are bringing up? We talk of metaphysics. We are talking about Hegel. Everybody is interested in materialism, matter. It's what people, even if they believe that they are doing religion and heaven is the goal and all that. But when you reflect on so many things that they are doing, they are contradicting themselves and they do not care about the contradiction. They just want to survive. So it's more or less like animalistic living. And I think that human being is nobler than such kind of life. When we say somebody is a human being, there are so many things that you have to look at. You must reflect on what you are doing before you do it, and that one makes you a rational human being. But if you do not reflect, you do it because your ancestors have been doing it. There are a lot of some of our cultures that many of our parents they still do until today. Sometimes I ask them question. When I ask them, I ask another that they say, "No, just do it? Why should you think about?" It? And these are superstitions that have kept Africans backward. I do believe I'm not trying to elevate the Western culture. We have a lot to learn, you know, about the West.
Right.
We have
No, I
to learn.
mean, the Western culture's got things to offer, but even the word philosophy, right? So philosophy, we use it to describe educated Europeans, educated Westerners, let's say. But it really means a love of the goddess Sophia, this Greek Hellenistic goddess, right? And Africa has their own gods and goddesses and their own royal. I mean, it's not just a royal pantheon, it's a relatable spiritual family that you're a part of. Like you said, Ubuntu.
Yeah,
Ubuntu means humanity, but it also means it's like holistic, the way we use the
yeah.
word holistic,
All right, right.
right? It's such a deep concept. And it's ironic that not ironic, but ironic that we focus on this Greek, the Westerners, America and Germany, like barbarians, right? Focusing on Greek philosophy, but Greek philosophy, the best of it, is influenced by Africa. Let's just be honest for a second, can we? That African philosophy was something that the Greeks were really fascinated by. One of the reasons they loved Egypt and Sudan and Niger is that they knew that there was a deep metaphysical truth that was in African culture. And this is something that, I mean, it's wonderful that you're learning how to understand Western ideas because you're able to communicate with me about your ideas. But I think one of the most valuable things to me is your ideas. It's not I mean, it's very important that we can share this language
Yeah,
because I
very,
need
very.
to hear because I'm an ignorant person. I'm a very ignorant person. I don't speak any Nigerian or African languages. So with
Yeah,
your help, I might be able to someday understand some things that your people have
yeah,
lived and died for, fought for, and been making sacrifices to keep remembered.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
terrifies me that that could be lost. It terrifies me. It's amazing, and it makes me so grateful to know you that that could be saved, right? And it's something that's so valuable. It's so valuable, your understanding of wisdom, because when we say Sophia, this goddess, we're talking about wisdom, right?
yeah,
But what is wisdom? What is wisdom to an African man living in Nigeria in a town that they're trying to literally blow up off the map? They're trying to erase what is wisdom to you? And it seems a lot to do with choice. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you say it has a lot to do with your own choosing of your own destiny.
yeah. I mean, one thing that I think we should learn from the West, like I said, is
I'm not sure if we're having a data problem. Are you back? One of the things that
yeah,
we can learn from the West, repeat, please.
yeah, is that we must realize that the civilization is evolutional. Every society is evolving. And many of the African societies, the problem we have here is that many people have not realized that we are evolving. not human biological evolution per se, but as a society, we are evolving, and we must realize and come in terms with that, because so many people, they are stuck in their culture. You know, even religion is evolutionary. People do not realize it. And the problem we are having in Nigeria is that people say, "Oh, you don't belong to my group. Why shouldn't you belong to my group? Because you don't belong to my group, therefore I should hate you." And that is the problem we are having here. That freedom of individual does not exist. The individual does not, have freedom at all. And I must say that being an extremist, if I am an extremist of Ubuntu, it will become disastrous to me. And if I'm an extremist of individualism, it will become a destruction to me. So I must, as a matter of fact, epistemology right now demands that we take a very, very, a middle point. We should not be extreme in whatever we do. You understand that? So the African people, the African society, they must realize that extremism is very, very, very wrong. It is not good for any. It has never been good, no matter how good or perfect a thing is. Taking an extreme position of anything is dangerous to any society, and that is why I say, despite the fact that the African society, they believe in Ubuntu, I am because we are, therefore I am. That is good. But what about the individual talent? What about what the individual has to bring to the table? What about what the individual has in his mind? If my reasoning does not tally with the reasoning of the society shouldn't try to eliminate me. What the society should do is that they should listen to me. And it is valuable, why not inculcate it into the system that have been on ground? But no, they don't want you to bring anything new to the system. They want the system to remain the way it is, which is very, very, very wrong. It cannot be, because whatever tradition you think you are maintaining, that tradition was brought by someone that came before you. So if that person was conservative the way you are conservative right now, he may not have gotten what he has gotten right now. So you understand? So technology and so many things, education, epistemology, in every aspect, even spiritually, we are evolving. We're evolving, and we must come, to realize this. And the earlier the African person realize this truth, this universal truth, the better for him. Because until we realize that the individual has something to offer, other than being a member of just a society, he has something to offer. Because look at the Nigerian society, we have so many individual talents, but the government does not listen. The government doesn't want you to be yourself. People do not want you to be yourself. They just want you to be like everyone else. And that is a problem. And that is one of the disadvantages. That's one of the shortcomings of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is utopic when you think about it, in a way that, oh, we are one and all that and all that. But it has a lot of shortcomings, because there is nothing that is perfect. It has its own, shortcomings. But they do not want to look at the shortcoming, and that is the work of the philosophers. We want to bring the shortcoming to the notice of the people, so that people will begin to see that we can build on it. We can build on it. There is always a room for development. There is always a room for advancement. No matter how good a thing is, it can be improved upon. And that is what I believe. And that is why the Nigerian government, they must give room to people like us, who are saying we have a different opinion. We have a different way of looking at this. In Nigeria, for example, it is either you are a Muslim or you are a Christian. If you are not a Muslim, you are a Christian, you are not in the society. In fact, you are dead. You are as good as dead, because
So,
nobody.
and let's expand on that for a second, just to harp on the point. I mean, because I love the idea of Mormons in Africa and everything, but let's be real: Westernism, Middle Easternism, no Africanism. If you're an African and you're into African history and legacy, hey, look, another 10. Good job. This guy's going to stay alive because of you guys. I just want you to know. Dude, keep my
Thank
friend
you so
alive.
much.
Yeah, seriously. If Africans aren't allowed to think about African ideas, so let me take it a different direction. What do you,
Uh,
how would you define the difference between Orisha? Do you know what I mean when I say Orisha? Um, this idea of African Nigerian magical. What would you say? Would you describe Orisha as something? As
yeah.
spiritual spirits, African spirits, Yoruba spirits? Would you say this is a term that you could use? How would you describe Orisha, and how would you compare it to Neoplatonic concepts? Boom, Jeremy Fawcett, you're freaking in right now. There we go. There's another 10. I'm glad. I'm really stoked. You have no
Thank
idea how
you,
much rice you just got, my friend. My
you,
buddy
thank you
eats the
so
rice.
much.
What do you mean
You
when you say
know,
Orisha, and how is that different from Neoplatonic concepts?
like I told you, in our last shows, I think the very last show that we had, or the one that preceded, I told you that the African society, the everyday life of the African society is deeply rooted in its spirit and in its religion. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. My internet's a little
Yeah.
crap, but keep going.
The African daily life is rooted in the African spiritual life, in the sense that the spiritual play a very deep role, a very serious role in the African daily lives. And the Orisha, as it stands, is a divine spirit that guides, the physical person. Understand? And it is believed that a person without Orisha is as good as nothing. It's like you are a dead person. So it is like a force, a spirit that drives the body. The body, like as you know it, is empty, and then the Orisha, being a spirit, is like an active force to activate the body. You understand
Which
that?
is like
So
I want to tell people that I understand it slightly better because I studied philosophy. I feel like most Christians might be confused by what you just said because let's say a Christian comes to Africa and tries to convert you with the Bible, or a Muslim, actually any Abrahamic religion, they're not going to get this idea of what's it called, eudaimonia. We talked about this kind of the other day, eudaimonia, this idea of a perfect, like utopia, and demon, right? So a perfect demon, a perfect spirit. But
yeah.
Greeks talk about this idea of Geist. Diamond is Geist in German. You could say the spirit. So a perfect spirit. And it's actually inherently African. If I were to think of it if I were to try to explain this, I wouldn't use Greek words. I would head directly for African ideology because the
Yeah.
Africans. Am I wrong? It seems like this is an African idea that the Greeks have stolen originally.
Every society has its own peculiar civilization, and if the human being is divine, it means that every society must have experienced, any, in fact, divinity in one way or the other. And you understand? I do not believe that a society can teach another society divinity or spirituality. Spirituality is inherent in every society. It is inherent. It is something that you can, come in terms with, with without being taught, you know, in your own community, in your own culture. So it is very, 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 I do not think that any society learns spirituality or learn something, that has to do with divine from any other society. It is inherent in every society. So, but because of some languages are more sophisticated and richer than other languages, like the African languages, I consider it primitive in a way. The reason I consider it primitive is because it doesn't have the capacity to, to bring a lot of thought into light. Yes, I do believe so, because there are so many things. I think they say the limit of Your language is the limit of your world. But indeed, for us as Africans, there are so many things that we can think about. There are so many things we have in our culture, but we don't have the words to explain it to the outsiders, to the world. You understand? Just like right now, I'm not an English person. I'm struggling with English, but the way I talk, it is not the end of my reality. You understand? That is the purpose of education. Because the more I learn, the more I to communicate my thoughts, to communicate my reality, and to communicate my experience in terms of spirit, epistemology, and otherwise. But just because a society doesn't have the capacity to communicate or doesn't have the richness of words to communicate what he or I mean what the society experience, it doesn't mean that the society doesn't have that in their reality. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So that is it. I think many a time, have you studied William James' Stolen Legacy by William James, where he was trying to make a case for the African by saying that the Greek philosophy was a stolen African philosophy. But again, even if it is true, I don't want to think about whether it is true or not. But I think that because the African languages or the African language was not or is not rich enough to communicate a lot of things, and we didn't document so many things, then these things are lost. Like the African religion, for example, the Christians, they have their book, right? The Bible, the Muslims, they have their Quran, but where is the African book per se? We only have some little manuscript somewhere,
I
then
was gonna say
some,
I have no idea. It's probably in a British library underground.
you know,
Maybe unless they burned it, they probably burned it. Let's be honest.
but when you go to African villages, you are gonna see an old man who will tell you a lot of things about something that is not written. So the mistake or disadvantage of the African society is that they did not document most of their ideas, and unfortunately for them, as at the time they were beginning to learn how to document, it was actually people who who was trying to help them to document this thing. They started, distorting some of these things, to their advantages. So that is the problem we've been having. So
Absolutely, you have 15th century Timbuktu manuscripts in the Songhai Empire becoming promissory apologetics for Islam, and then you have Christianity jumping on that, saying, "Hey, look,
yeah,
Islam, Abrahamic religion. Let's just make Africans into some sort of a Protestant Christian group, not letting
yeah,
you actually be yourselves." Right? When what I find crazy, and I know I mean to harp on this again, but because we have Latter Day Saints and Mormons that have talked to you before, a lot of what I would like to do is to teach other people about my beliefs. I learn more about my beliefs from you than most people, because a lot of what I believe I don't even realize yet, but I know what it is, and it is essentially what your ancestors believed, and what I'm pretty sure my ancestors believed too. There's a humanizing truth, a fundamental truth that there's effort to burn away, and there's so much effort to it's. I remember growing up learning the American measuring system, and then I learned the metric system in a day, right? I was like, this is so much easier. Why aren't we using this? That's how I feel about African mysticism. I'm like, oh my God, it's so intuitive. It's the most intuitive, natural thing. What you naturally believe, we need to save it so bad. And yeah, there's effort clearly to destroy it.
yeah. You want to
Yeah,
show
there's
me some?
actually. Well, I don't know how much I have to show you. Luckily, actually, what's interesting is that in the last 10, maybe 5 years, a number of documents have started to surface. There was a lot of writings that in Timbuktu they were worried were going to be destroyed, right? destroyed by Muslims or Christians. Just anyone from the West or the Middle East, right? Anyone not African would be afraid of that information. But from the conversations we've had, I can tell you already inherently know a lot of the things that I might endeavor to read, because our perspectives, my religious Eurocentric perspective on the afterlife, for instance, the afterlife. Well, the afterlife is here in an African sense. Again, with your Ubuntu thing. Hey, look at this. Austral economic theory helping you out right now. Another 20 pounds, 20 euros. That's even better. It's like
Thank you. Thank
$23.
you so much.
Yeah. No, but
Thank you so much.
you know that that so much of what we talk about is it comes down to the differences of interpretation that you take for granted still, but probably will be lost in a generation if you particularly don't save it. And the idea that God is a family, right? The idea that the afterlife is here, that there isn't really like another, it's like it is the idea of saving this. It's a sustaining of life. It's a sustaining of paradise, that we're living in a paradise that we could turn into hell. That we could, and we're doing it now. We're
Yeah.
doing it. We're turning paradise into hell, and we could stop it if we work together. These are ideas that you already know. Like, it doesn't matter how deep I try to go into a Timbuktu, yeah, save eternity now. That's exactly right. I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want you to know, I mean, you're not alone. You're not. And a lot of the things you say, there will be, as you fill in the pages, there will be other pages that fill in naturally from the Akashic record, from the collective memory that you're sharing with people. But it's something that, I mean, for the most part, the Timbuktu manuscripts, they've existed for 500 years. A lot of people just kept them secret. A lot of people just kept them secret because they didn't want them to be burned. Right? You live in a world where they want to kill you and burn your books. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm sorry to get so upset about it, but it's true. I mean, it's incredible how much self-control you have.
Yeah.
And of course, Greek philosophy. I mean, let's be honest, a big part of Greek philosophy is from Greeks studying in Alexandrian Egypt, learning about Ethiopians, learning about the Sudan, and learning from Sahara traders that brought information from the south. There's just a lot of what we think of as philosophy that come from Greek philosophers that they studied from Africa. It's kind of like, yeah.
Many scholars have corroborated and they have agreed to that. That actually a lot of Greek, philosophers, they actually study, from Africa, But then,
not
what is
to flex, right? Not to flex, but let's be real. Let's be honest.
I mean, what is the limit? What is the limit of Africa? That is another thing entirely. I mean, when I say what is the limit, when you say African, what do you mean African? So it's another ball game entirely. But
Fair.
that aside, it's quite very 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 common to have many scholars saying that the Greek philosopher they learn from Africa. So that is really really true. And if these scholars actually, or since they learn from Africa, and if they learn from Africa and they have developed this philosophy to this level, I think they also have to get some credit for it, because when you look at Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, and their successors and all that, and when you look at the Greek society in a whole, you will admit that these people, they have done a great job in keeping the philosophical discipline alive. They have kept it alive, and they have sustained it in a way. They have advanced it to a very great way, to the point that people like you and I, when we talk about philosophy, the people who have systematized this per se are the Greeks, and we must give them this credit. They have done a great job. When you say they learn from Africa, but when you come to Africa today, when you say philosophy, people are going to stare at you. Say, What are you talking about? What do you mean philosophy? But the people whom you claim they stole these ideas from you, they are doing it very perfectly, and they have done a lot of things. They have solved a lot of problem with it. So that is why I say it is not just the starter that matter, but the sustainer too matters a lot. When you invent a thing and you are not able to sustain it, you are not able to nurture it, to keep it and preserve it for the next generation, then you will be failing in that aspect. So it's not just to have something that counts, but you have to learn also to know how to sustain it. So that is why I respect the Greeks a lot for preserving philosophy. Because when we talk of modern philosophy right now, you will not disagree that the Greeks they have done a lot. They have done a lot for the society. The Greeks are really great.
I
In
like the
fact,
Greeks. I can't help
yeah,
myself. I have some
they,
Greek
they,
friends. I tend to like Greeks. The
they,
Hellenists, they're good. They're good people.
to be honest, they are great people, and I love them a lot. I really do. I mean, but right now, like I told you earlier in the show, and in our previous show, that when your philosophy is not able to solve your problem, then you need to think deeper. When your philosophy is not able to solve your problem, then you need to think deeper. You need to think beyond what you are thinking. It means there is something wrong somewhere. So if we say that the Africans are philosophical in a way, and here we are not able to solve even the basic needs. We are not even able to solve the problem of food, water, and clean water. We are not able to solve it. Then what kind of philosophy do you think you have? So I believe philosophy for man, not man for philosophy. Philosophy should be able to advance me, and not me just trying to advance philosophy. So it will be a kind of empty voice, flatus voices for me to be saying, "Oh, I did this, I did that, I can say this, I can say that." But when what you believe, when what you think, or when the philosophy that you have is not able to shape your life or to change you to live a more nobler life, then what kind of philosophy do you think? No matter how we think about it, no matter how we glorify poverty and hunger, nobody's going to accept it. Nobody's going to accept it. So Africans must learn how to use philosophy for their good. You understand? We must learn to philosophize you know, in a practical way, like William James, Sanders Peirce, American philosophy. We read about some of their work when I was, in the university. That philosophy must be practical, as is philosophy. Whatsoever you think you know, whatsoever you think you have, whatsoever you think is in your head, if you are not able to use that to advance the cause of man, for good, then of what good is what you are thinking. So that is what I believe, and that is the kind of message I do think that people like us should be preaching. As modern contemporary philosophers, you should be preaching to our community, because I have the dream that one day, if I go out of Nigeria and I study to become a professor, I have a lot of things to tell. I have a lot of things to teach my community. Because as long as we continue to think in a cycle, people tell you don't think outside of this box, just think around there, continue to think around there. As long as you have food and water to drink, we can no longer live with that anymore. We must think outside the box, and we must take responsibility. We must be rugged in our thinking, in our approach to life, so that we can live beyond this present predicament. Whatever solution the Western and the United Nations is bringing to Africa right now, it cannot solve it, because it is man that created this problem. So until you work on that man, until that man change his ways, until his thinking is is advanced in a way, that problem will continue to reoccur. You understand? Because if a problem is created by man and you solve that problem, what about the person that started that problem, that created that problem? That person needs more of attention than the problem itself. So it's not about solving the problem, it's about the person, how the problem started alone. And that is what I want to, actually dedicate my life to doing right now. How did we arrive here? as African? How did all this start? We might say, oh, the Westerners, they are the cause of our problem and all that. But how did it all start? How did we arrive here? How did it happen that we have no space in the universe? How did it come to be that we are below every other races in the universe? How did it come to be that the Chinese will come to our society, rape our girls, and kill people? They will go scot free. The law doesn't, apply to them. How comes? These are some of the questions that I ask myself, and these are the kind of things that I want to dedicate my life to solving. I believe no matter the condition, no matter how much help, no matter how much of a thing you do, if you are not able to solve the root cause of the problem, you will be moving in a cycle. You will go far. Even if you do well, a generation will come and they will face the same problem. So we must get to the root of the problem of the African. Until we get to the root of the problem of the African people and try to solve it from there, whatever measure we are taking will be null and void. It will be just we are brushing the grass instead of tackling the problem from the root. So that is the problem. So this is the cry of people like us. And that is why I'm seeking opportunity. I have a lot of things to offer, Andres. When I was in school, I was one of the brightest students in my school. You understand? But today, I feel like a mad person. Sometimes I don't even know how to communicate.
Well, that's a good sign. I feel like a mad person. I
I
feel like
feel,
you're
I,
doing
I,
well if you think you're a mad person. I'm sorry. But having
I,
said that, I want people to know saying you're actually one of the brightest people in his class is actually it's a bigger deal than you might think. Like I've talked to quite a few Nigerians in the last few years ever since talking to Ibiza, and I've met Nigerian female programmers that are brilliant. There's so many brilliant people in Nigeria. This is one of the reasons I'm a Nigerian enthusiast. I've become one because I see so freaking much potential in these people. People from Nigeria that are being exploited by somebody else, that if they were just given the opportunity to have any amount of self-determination and destiny, would create such a wonderful world, not just for themselves, but for the rest of us, because of this philosophy of Ubuntu that we're all sharing together in the same breath, right? Like, if I breathe your air, this is something they had to make laws about because of secondhand smoking in the West, but it's just so obvious to someone who understands Ubuntu. So it just blows my mind that there are so many people there that are so brilliant, and the more I meet, the more impressed I am by your people. But yeah, there's something special about you, dude. There's something about you that actually is really particularly, and I like what you said, a madman. You're a madman because you're thinking thoughts that are illegal. You're thinking thoughts that are essentially illegal. Forbidden thoughts are my favorite thoughts. It's
yeah,
incredible. And last thing I want to say before I interrupt you again is because you talked about self-determination, the idea of just following orders, right? Like, so in Germany here, a big excuse they had for the Third Reich is they say, well, we were just following orders, right? Which is a total sign of being a slave, of not making your own decisions. And
yeah.
this is the country Hegel comes from. So to
Yes.
see that these people couldn't learn from Hegel enough to be in control of their own destiny, and I'm sorry to give them that sort of criticism, but it's there. And to see you in this circumstance where they literally stole your home in front of me. I mean, you're not even able to do the show from the same place you did last time because they destroyed his entire village. Okay? And that this man is still making free choices, and he's not reactionary, right? Like I feel like the devil here tempting him to say, I'm tempting Ibiza to say, hey, isn't it unfair? Shouldn't you have it better? Blah 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 blah. And every single time you're like, Jesus Christ, just, you know what? I'm going to be non-reactionary, and I'm going to speak from a place of stillness, It's just this is the goal. You're the goal, dude. You're the goal. This is what we need to get to.
I mean, I can say that it's really tempting, sometimes when you are the odd one, in the midst of so many people who are, saying the same thing, and then you are the only person who is saying a different thing. That it's a very big risk. It is a very big risk. But let us say that you can live on your own, you can live and survive, without needing some of the basic help from these people. You will be able to do a lot of things and change a lot of things in that group. You understand? And that is why I believe. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm still here. I just wanted to give you a second to answer.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Yes. So it is really, really quite, unfortunate that the Nigerian society does not encourage individuals who have different opinion. It is very risky, like you said, to stand alone. You understand? I think, and that is why I do respect America, no matter what. I really think I really do respect them because they might not like you, but as long as your thought is not against the community, it's not against the life of the community, they will allow you to live. So, but that is not the same here. If you have a different thought, in fact, that's a big risk. There are many people who are in prison in Nigeria alone for having a different religious view. They are in prison, they are rotting in jail for just saying, I don't believe in this. There are so many, so it's a crazy society. It's a very crazy one. So
They take
that
your
is why,
kids. They'll take your
yes.
kids. They'll take your daughters. They'll raise them a different religion if you act too mad. Right.
So it is a very crazy, society out here. And I do think that the only way we can change things in Nigeria is that when people like us leave Nigeria to other places, we equip ourselves, we advance ourselves and form a formidable force. Then when we come back home, we'll be able to have the power to fight, as a force too. But when you are trying to survive and you are the person who is being isolated, hello, can you hear me? I think your network is not stable.
No, it's not. But if I let you talk, it'll be easier if I close my camera.
All right. So that's quite fine because we must, as a matter of fact, continue to support people who stand alone, and that is how the society grow. If you keep everybody in a bus, and then you want people to reason the same way, you want people to behave the same way, and all that. Yes, like Pumi is saying, yes, you will have thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Antithesis we will always have, but synthesis we must also embrace sometimes. So that is how a society should grow. If a society does not take this trio into consideration, it will be very difficult for such a society to move forward. Because when you bring your idea, I bring mine, and then we see the one that is, the value in this in each idea, and then we make use of them to develop society. That is how a society grow. But when we say, oh, these are the only people that their ideas should be taken seriously. If you don't belong to this group, your idea is going to be taken for granted. Or if you don't belong to this group, you're going to be killed. You'll be killing people who would have been able to develop that kind of, a society. And so these are some of the problems we are facing in Nigeria. You see, many people who are doing well in Nigeria right now, sometimes they run away. Just like right now, I'm feeling unsafe in Nigeria and I want to run away. I'm not just try. So these are the kind of problem that is making so many people to really want to run away because we are living in a society. But I'm not trying to run away. The reason I'm saying I'm not trying to run away is that because I know that when I go, I'm going to come back. I'm going really, really going to come back to really save as many as I can in my society. I really want to do that, and I'm making it a kind of movement. This today is going to bear me witness. If I have the opportunity to survive, if I have the opportunity to survive the violence, if I have the opportunity to survive this madness and all kinds of trauma, I will come back home to rescue
Well,
as
I think you
many
guys
as
can
I
tell
can.
where I'm going with this. I don't know if you can tell, but he's clearly this is the kind of guy who thinks a lot about things before he makes a move. Okay, and we've talked to him 5 years in a row now, 5 times, and we've talked a lot about this, about how important it is to fix Nigeria, how important he is to Nigeria, to Nigerian people, and why, wrestling with his demand that he's there for his people, which I understand completely. I actually, I don't know if I do because I don't know if I have the same dedication to my people that he does. I'll be honest, okay? I'll be honest, but I understand why I can I hear him when he says he's not ready to just leave, just to just evacuate, exodus, refugee, leave his people. I get that. However, I want to keep him alive. Can we help? Can we keep him alive? Is it all right with you guys? I think we can get him to another country for a little while, just for a little while, so that he can do other things. I think it's a good idea. I know that a lot of you are like against open borders and all that other stuff. But if we like can make an agreement that he just comes to another place so he can go to college a little bit more and then go back home and help these people, I'm pretty sure I'm going to start pushing for that. And I know I've talked to him about it in the past if that wasn't obvious. He's been kind of pushing against it for the sake of helping his people. But I think it's time. I think it's time he comes, at least takes a vacation. What do you guys say? How about Ibiza takes a vacation and he comes to America or Germany or someplace where I'm at? What do you guys think about this idea? I think I know that it wasn't your first idea, Ibiza. I don't know if they can even understand or fathom how it's like to feel the way you do about your people and your home and to not want to leave them and to be worried about them and to feel like you can't control their fate when they're gone, right? I don't think people will miss their family as much as you miss your country. But at the same time, I think it's about time that we start working on a little trip to another place. I don't know. That's the next thing that I've been talking about with Ibiza, and I want you guys to know we're going to try to do something to get him at least to Europe or something so that we can start for a little while, like looking at some alternative. This is crazy. This is crazy what I'm seeing. I don't like it. All right. Oh, and yeah,
Uh,
somebody will tell you that a philosophy degree doesn't go far, get an MBA. Well, okay, we'll work on that. Exactly. That's kind of one of the things I'm talking about. However, let me just say something that I've been saying for a really long time, and I've been pretty sure of, is that the last degree that won't be automatable, right? Because let's talk about how they're going to automate everything into AI jobs. What's the last thing that they can't automate? It's philosophy. It's not just thinking, it's ways of thinking, right? And so
yeah,
yeah, there's something about your Ibiza, you're one of the least replaceable people I know. And it would be a shame to lose you. And I want you to know how much I care about you and why we
I,
want you alive and why we're grateful you are.
I do care about you too, Andres. I care about you too, and I appreciate that a lot. Yeah,
Bro,
it's a good idea. It's a good idea, and I will really, really do appreciate if I have the opportunity to leave Nigeria, you know, to develop myself, to relax my brain, and to, hustle and come back to my country to help as many as,
bro,
people,
you're a
to
freaking
give.
hustler. That's what I'm talking about. That's all. That's the most American thing you could be. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
That's what I'm all
I'm
feeling
not
about. I'm feeling
going
it
to do
hard.
a dream
All
come
right,
true.
dog. All right, so we're gonna end on a subject I wanted to ask you about. I kind of was toying with this, and I think this is gonna be your new book. I think we're gonna have to work on a book. I think we're gonna set something up so you can sell a book. This is my first thought. Orun Mila, are you familiar with this deity? Is this something that you're familiar with? Orun Mila.
Yeah. Not very well, but Orumila belongs to the Yoruba culture of north, I mean, southwestern part of Nigeria, the Yoruba culture. So
Okay.
he's a god of wisdom and knowledge and all that. The
Okay.
the, the Yoruba Ifa system or religious system is very deep, in terms of their justice system and all that. So these are some of the divinities and some of the spiritual way of them, dealing with crimes. They employ some of these deities when they are dealing with crime. In our civilization, when something is wrong, you come and you take the person to a judge with human wisdom. But these people, they believe that human being cannot be wise by himself. So they always need some kind of spiritual backing, when dealing with situations. So Orunmila, being a divinity that is infallible, in dispensing justice and wisdom, is called upon, is invoked by some class of people, not everybody, some specific dedicated class of people in the religion. They are the one who can communicate the wisdom and the knowledge of Orunmila to the commoners in the society. So that is the Yoruba Orunmila. It is a very huge and large epistemic system, in the sense that it cut across every facet of their reality, from agriculture to marriage, name them. So it is just one of the many gods, in the Yoruba
Right.
culture. Like
And you're
just like the
using
Greek.
it you're using it for specifically wisdom. Do you think you have is there something kind of similar, would there be an equivalent from where you're from? That's something that's the same kind of god, or is it very specific to them?
Like in my culture, we have Osalobua, which is the Almighty God, and then my culture is quite very very different from the Yoruba's culture, because I'm from Benin. In Benin, we also have different gods too. The god of war, we have Ogun and all that, and then again, the the Osalobua himself, which happens to be the God Almighty, has a representative on earth, the same way you have Jesus Christ. And that person is the king, the Oba. The Oba of Benin is like a god to the people. It is sent by God, to rescue the people. He's the one in charge, and he communicates the ways of the gods to his people. So it is the king who is actually a custodian of the religion in my culture. So he is in custodian of so many things, the wisdom of the community, the wisdom, and in fact, everything is embedded in the kingship, in the ownership of the community. So that is how my society is. Like, one person is handed the power, both spiritually and physically. That such person has the power to control so many things, and that person is the Oba of Benin. If you browse it, in fact, you see it. You look it up. Oba of Benin, is a very powerful king, one of the most powerful king in Africa as a whole. Defeated in the year 1897 by the British. During the Igwe festival, the kingdom was defeated. Otherwise, it was one of the. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, Andres. Oh, my neck. Your audio is. I can't hear you.
Oh, I was literally yelling your god's name trying to get my internet back. So tell
Oh.
me what I'm supposed to look up again. What am I supposed to do?
When you look at the Oba of Benin, your Oba of Benin, your Oba of Benin, you know,
Yeah, I'm
is
pulling it up right now. The Oba of Benin is
yes,
the kind of the Pope in a sense, or the prophet, right? Or what would you call the Oba?
yes, he's a king. He's a king who is
Traditional ruler,
also,
right? Kind of
yeah,
the holy president, prophet, president, right?
definitely, definitely, definitely. In fact, this it in fact
King over earth.
yes, in the year 1897, the British finally defeated the Benin Kingdom. Where the king was exiled, after some fight between the Oba of Benin, of the Benin people, and the British. He was finally captured and he was exiled, in Nigeria, in the present day Calabar. So before then, the Oba was very respected, just the same way you respect God. So we were seeing him as a God. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Oh my God.
I had to yell, Lord God, Father of Jesus Christ, but it worked again. So just keep going.
Yeah. So I am from this particular society. I am a Benin person. So the Oba of Benin is highly, highly one of the most ranking uh, traditional ruler in Africa until the kingdom was defeated in the year 1897, unfortunately, by the British. You understand? What caused the problem is very, very similar to what we are having today, economic and religious struggle. You know, many kings they bow to the British rule, but the Oba of Benin refused to become subject, in so many ways. And they had no choice for economy and other benefit, they had no choice to take him out. So that was what led to the fight. Because when the Oba of Benin was having his annual spiritual, activities, the the British that came to the kingdom, to our communities at that time, they were told that it was forbidden by the gods to attend to visitors at that particular point in time, because it was a moment of fasting by the people of the land. But the British, because they did not respect or understand the tradition, they decided to defy the tradition, and it was a very, very punishable offense. So as a result of that, these people in the year in that year 1987 or thereabout, they were ambushed. The British, they were ambushed and they were killed. So when they left, they reinforced and came back with their powerful guns and all that. As at that time, the Benin, they didn't have so much powerful guns and weapons to fight the British. So when the British came in the year 1987, they defeated the Benin Kingdom totally. And that was how the Benin Kingdom, like my kingdom, we are very, gifted in craft. We do a lot of craft. There were so many artifacts. They were stolen and they were looted in the kingdom, taken to the British Museum. Although recently, so many of these artifacts they have been returned to Nigeria. Even last year, so many of these artifacts were returned back to Nigeria. You understand? So, and there are so many of them that are still,
Things are starting to maybe get their way back into Nigeria
yeah,
in the last 10 years. Maybe things are starting to return from the British Museum back to Nigeria in the last few years. Is that true?
yeah, yes,
This is a big deal.
of course, of
I
course,
honestly do. I think that the whole future of Nigeria rests in the capacity for Nigerians to resonate with Nigerian physicality, architecture, ideology. They
yeah,
need, otherwise you're stuck in a freaking IKEA. You're stuck in a supermarket. You're stuck in a Sumerian cubic temple without the ability to even recognize what is the shape and volume of Nigeria, of Africa, even, which is just so huge, it's crazy. But Nigeria and Edo, right, and Benin.
yes, yes. The Ido that was known as Benin. I mean, you are quite right, Andres. I mean, but as long as the Nigerian society continue to divide themselves across religion, ethnic line, it will be very difficult for us to stand and do things for ourselves as a people. As long as selfish personal interest continue to drive people's activities, it will be very, 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 very difficult for people in Nigeria, in fact, especially our rulers who are after power rather, you know, to actually do things that will make the Nigerian society as a whole to be a better place. Yeah, it will be very difficult. But indeed, we had our civilization. You understand? We have had a lot of good things that have happened to us, but we lost it on the way because there was no capacity to sustain, that civilization. So it became very difficult to sustain it. And right now, like what I said, there is something deep, Andres. I do believe that what is happening to us can be tackled intellectually. It should be tackled from the root. It is the mind. The mind has been destroyed. You understand? If so many Nigerian kids, so many Nigerian children, they do not believe that they are capable of civilization, advanced civilization. They do not believe that they are capable of doing the thing that other people in the rest of the world, they do not believe that they are capable of doing it too, because of the way they have been, their mind have been dealt with right from birth, because of the way they have been programmed from their childhood. And this is affecting us. People grow, and these are the people that, in the future, they are going to become our president. You understand? If you do not believe in yourself and you want to be a leader, if you do not believe you can do it, look at the kind of leaders we are having in Africa. They are leaders, they cannot stand up for themselves. These leaders, they are from home. They were bettered by parents. You know, they were bettered by parents. They are from home too. So until we tackle these situations intellectually and metaphysically, we will be very, very far away from the truth. We'll be very far away from, solving the problem per se. So the Nigerian society, the Nigerian as a people, they must, as a matter of fact, find the root cause of these challenges. And that is what I am making my lifetime task. Is something that I have, as a matter of fact, I believe it's going to be a huge cost. It's not going to be easy, but I'm ready to embark on this task, to finding out what exactly is the root cause of a problem. It is very easy to say, oh, let us do it like this. If we do it like this, it's going to be good. If we do it like that, that's not going to solve the situation. Before you start making policy, you must find out the problem that led to the reason you are even making that policy in the first place. You understand? So these are the things that I believe as a people we must understand. Until the African person begin to see himself as a real, authentic human being, until the African person begin to see himself as someone who is capable of civilization, as someone who is capable of science and technology, as someone who is capable of standing up for himself, until the African person starts seeing himself as somebody who is not, in constant begging, is not sometimes always in a disadvantaged position, things like that. Until the African person begin to see himself as a real authentic human being, he will never be able to solve any problem in the world. It will be very difficult. Sometimes it may look as if that he is solving a problem, but in the end of the day, he will just be moving in a cycle. So the decolonization of the mind must be taken seriously. The mind must be allowed to be free. The African person must be free. Until his mind is free, it will be very difficult for him to do anything reasonable, anything authentic. He can produce cars, he can play football, he can do a lot of things, but until his mind is set free, there is no good that will come out of whatever thing he does. Let him produce the best thing in the world. He will remain poor because his mind is already destroyed. So that is what I am crying for. The African person, how do we decolonize his mind? How do we build him into having confidence in himself once more? How do we build him into becoming, seeing himself as equal to other people in the world? How do we build him to attain that kind of standard of humanity, so that people will not see him all the time as a beggar, as somebody who is disadvantaged, as somebody who is suffering, things like that. So until we're able to decolonize this mind, there's a little we can do, Andres. You understand? And this is the advantage that you people have over us. when kids are born in your society, you constantly make them understand that they are authentic, they are good, they are this, they are that. Yeah, positive things. But here, people are born into poverty. People are born to believe that, oh, you don't have to struggle for anything. You don't have to strive for your dreams. Just go and find something you are going to eat, and that is all. So when people are being born like that, people are born into such kind of society, what do you expect? So some of us here, we are just unfortunate. Like I said, Andres, I attend a very poor school. I attend a very poor school, very, very poor. But right from birth, I've been someone who always asks questions, who is always skeptical and very, very, critical about things. And that is why I am here talking to you today. You understand? There are many people like me who are of my age. They are doing well, better than I am, because they do not think. That is one thing about philosophy. Once you begin to ask questions, sometimes opportunity might also pass you by, because instead of you finding work to do, you want to solve problem. You're always trying to solve problem, and that is the kind of person I am. I'm always trying to solve problem. Like what problem? Community problem, not just my personal problem. Right now, like I said, yes, indeed, I'm hungry, but the major thing is not about my hunger, but the hunger of the community. If you give me food, if I eat, what about my mother? What about my brothers? In fact, what even caused the hunger in the first place? So if I travel to America or I travel to US, Germany, any part of the world, then I stay there. I've been able to, you have rescued me, right? Yes, you have rescued me. But what about other people who will not have this opportunity to be rescued from Africa? So this is the problem we are talking about. So if I have opportunity, Andres, and I believe that through your platform and through the help of so many, good-minded individuals, we can make the world a better place. I believe. I'm not a pessimist. Forget about the people the last time they were trying to discourage you about helping me and all that, they tried to discourage you. Yes, I know that there will always be pessimists, doubters, and all that. It takes audacity to help people, because it is actually something great to try to fix a problem that you did not create in the first place. It is something noble. It is something godly. It shows that you have a very great soul. You understand? So this is the kind of a person that I am too. You understand? You are here with me. I don't have anything to offer you, but you are talking to me. You have abundant so many things to be talking to me.
I think it's
I'm
hilarious that
even
you would say you have nothing to offer me. 2 hours
asking.
and 12 minutes deep, you would say you have nothing to offer me. That blows my mind. It's an
Yes,
insane thing
I
to say.
appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Andres. But that's the
I
reality.
appreciate
That
you
is
too. All right. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you
having.
what. I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
Tell you what you can
yeah,
do. You can do some homework for me, okay? Because I chat GPT'd myself a little question for you. Here's what I want. All right. I need a neo Orishic philosopher. And you can turn this into whatever you want. But a neo Orishic philosopher would transform the Orisha system, which is this African mystical, spiritual system that we talked about earlier, into a metaphysical framework emphasizing emanations, the soul's journey, the harmony with the divine. This system would combine the Yoruba spirituality, but really, I mean, it could do the Edo system in a much more effective way, I'm sure, because of the idea of the one true God. That's a good one. Spirituality's relational and practical aspects with a Neoplatonic abstraction. That's kind of where I was going with this. This idea that a Neoplatonic abstraction, intellectual depth, creating a uniquely African contribution to global philosophical thought. That's what I'm hoping that maybe you can think about for the
yeah,
next time until we talk again. But the idea of how can we reclaim African, this particularly Edo perspective and theology, not just ideology, not just philosophy, but theos, because theos means shared lens, right? And I think that's really what we're going for. We have a love of Hokmah or Shekinah, or this idea of Asherah, of this idea of the feminine god Sophia, and there's a lot of femininity to the goddesses of Africa, but I think it's bigger than that, right? It's a holistic Ubuntu, like you've been saying, Ubuntu. It's holistic. So a holistic approach to African mysticism from a philosophical perspective, as you say, but what we're looking for is an Edo-epistemology equivalent to Neoplatonism. And I think if there's ever been a person in history that could do it, my friend,
Yeah.
it's you. It's
I,
you.
I,
So,
I will
yeah.
I will do that. I will do just that. In fact,
I know you
it's been
will. I know you will. You're freaking amazing.
it's been long. I was given a homework, so I'm happy that you are giving me a homework to do today, and I take it very seriously. It's an
I
honor.
only do it because you're the only guy I know for the job. Please bring sugar
I
back to
will
the anthill. You're the only one
I,
I know.
I will do my best, Andres. It's a pleasure and it is a privilege. I will do my best. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. And everybody else, just so you know, you've been watching Africast. It's my favorite show. Please tune in next time. We're going to do it again soon.
I want to appreciate everybody who have been there for me, who have been, doing contribution for me here and there. And I want to make a shout out to Trini. She's not here, but I hope she can hear me. I really appreciate everybody here, and I'm grateful. I can see that you guys are doing so much for me, and I'm so happy. Thank you so much. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Even the last broadcast that we had, even the people, I don't know if they are still here right now, but I appreciate everyone. Thank you so much. I hope we'll continue to have a great time together like this. I hope we'll continue to one day meet each other, in real life. Right now, I still feel like utopic or somehow idealistic that I'm seeing someone from America listening to a poor guy in the village in Nigeria. You know, it's like a dream until I see you, Andres, and hold your hand. I will not believe it. So
bro.
I
Let's hang
hope
out
one
soon,
day,
bro. I'll see
I
you
hope
soon.
one day,
That's where we're at. That's where we're at, bro. I'll see you soon.
yeah, okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
But you can't know who loves you. You can't use your hand to force the sun to set. You cannot compare the living with the dead. Abisa, Abisa, Africas, 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 Abisa, Abisa, Africas, 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 Ibrahim, Ibrahim, Abisa, Abisa, Africas, Africas. What an old man sees while lying down, a young man can never see, even when he climbs up in a tree. Water may cover the footprints on the ground, but it does not cover the words of the mouth. Until lions have their own historians, accounts of the hunt will always celebrate the hunt town. Africas, Africas, Abisa, Abisa, Africas, 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 Ibrahim, Ibrahim, Abisa, Abisa, Africas, Africas. What an old man sees while lying down, a young man can never see, even when he climbs up in a tree. Water may cover the